Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Rama
Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Vallabha Shri Radhe, Jaya Radha Vallabha Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajagacharya Asto Tarasada Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Jai Ananta Koti Vaisnava Vrinda ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Oh, glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Tena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahayam Dadati Svapadantikam Mukam Karoti Vachalam Langhayate Girim Yakripa Tamaham Bande Sri Gurum Dinatarinam. You know, I come from, well, it's conditioning, I think. It's conditioning. I come from Australia. Have you heard of that place? Yeah. And you know what? The culture in Australia is egalitarian, which means we're all equal. Right? And it's not really based on the spiritual platform. It's all based on the fact that most Australians, at least from the families that I was born into, they're all Sudras. Right? So the Sudras like to make everybody all equal. Nobody gets... So I get very uncomfortable when I have to sit in a chair like this and they put a garland on me and they say, oh, you're going to hand out the certificates. And I think, oh, okay. Rightio, if you must. Because, you know, I see all of you as my friends, really, to be honest. And for me to be, you know, fated as something special is actually quite uncomfortable for me. But in any case... Having said that, I'm now here to do my duty and to also appreciate your efforts over the last, how many years? Yeah. 3.5 years. And how long have you been waiting for these certificates? Another 3.5 years. Right, so you deserve more than a certificate. But anyway, you know, Srila Prabhupada wanted us to take advantage of the human form of life, because the human form of life is actually very rarely achieved. Right? And this is why Prahlad Maharaj spent all of his spare time, you know, Sunanda and Amarka complained to Hiranyakashipu, your son is always preaching whenever we go out of the room, right? So, and one of the reasons why Prahlad Maharaj always took an opportunity to preach was because, as he explained, and as Srila Prabhupada explains, as our acharyas explain, the human form of life is rarely achieved, and one should use the human form of life to understand its purpose, right? We're living in a society where there are huge rates of depression, mental health problems, and where most people, and as a consequence of the fact that they don't know who they are and what they should be doing, what their purpose of life is, right? And so Prahlad Maharaj encouraged his friends, take advantage from an early age, right from the beginning. He recommends, when we're children, we should start understanding basically Bhagavat Dharma, I guess we could call it, or Bhagavat Siddhanta, right? I mentioned this a few times. Lord Chaitanya taught Rupa Goswami 4 things. Right? And of course, these are the essentials that we should learn. And studying the Bhakti Sastri is part of that. The first thing that he taught was Krishna Tattva, the truth about Krishna. The second thing he taught was Bhakti Tattva, the truth about Bhakti. Right? Then he taught the Rasa Tattva, the truth about Rasa. Right? Then he taught, well, we can assume that it was sequential, it may not have been, Bhagavat Siddhanta, right? The conclusions of the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. These are the 4 topics that Lord Chaitanya endowed and empowered Rupa Goswami to understand and to then disseminate, write books and distribute that knowledge, right? Which is what we're supposed to be doing. We're Rupanugas, right? We're followers of Rupa Goswami. So what does that mean? We should understand Krishna Tattva, Bhakti Tattva, Rasa Tattva, Bhagavat Siddhanta. Has anybody heard my recent couple of classes on YouTube? There's one other topic that he taught. Do you know what it was? If you didn't hear my class, you won't know. And if you haven't read the Chaitanya Charitamrita recently, you may not know. He also taught him the things that Ramananda Roy taught him, right? Ramananda Roy taught some very esoteric understandings of our philosophy. So, how special is Ramananda Roy? A very special devotee, such that he taught Lord Chaitanya. And of course that's incredible because Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So how is it that the Supreme Personality of Godhead has to be taught by anyone? That tells us how important and how special Ramananda Roy is. So anyway, we have the good fortune to have teachers like Jagannath Ram and the other devotees who are teaching the Bhakti Sastri, and we have the culture, if you like, in our community to take advantage of the human form of life and study Srila Prabhupada's books. Because in Srila Prabhupada told us that within the Bhagavad Gita, within the Nectar of Devotion, and within the Chaitanya Charitamrita, within the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, and within the Chaitanya Charitamrita is sufficient knowledge for a person to be Krishna conscious, right? And being armed with those teachings can really defeat any other kind of philosophy, right? Of course, it's not that we want to walk around and defeat people philosophically because, that probably doesn't work in this day and age. A more effective way of defeating people is to cook a delicious cauliflower pakora. That's why we distribute so much prasadam. Because arguments to foolish people just don't cut it, right? But still, we should have the learning. Of course, mind you, learning. Prabhupada says you can't actually know Krishna. Right? You can't actually know Krishna. Why can't we know Krishna? Huh? Unlimited. Yeah, we can never know Krishna. But Prabhupada says, but you can see Krishna. I was explaining this the other day. How many of you are married? Most of you. Right. How many of you have ever been bewildered by something your spouse did? Right? Right? So you know them. Right? Been living with them for the last 25 years, right? Or 20 years or 15 years or however long. And then they do something completely crazy. Well, at least from our perspective. If I thought I knew this person, right? And you do know them, but they'll always be doing something different. So, knowing Krishna is a little bit like that. We can know Krishna, but at the same time we don't know him. And that's okay. And that doesn't mean that we shouldn't study either, for that matter. So we're very fortunate in our community that we have a dedicated team of teachers. And what we're doing, what we're going to do, because things are a little bit haphazard at the moment. Like, waiting, how many years was it? 2 years for Bhakti Sastri certificates. Right? We're going to try and tighten things up a little bit. So we're in the process of recruiting some devotees who will make up our Board of Education. And the Board of Education will be like a visionary team to look at what we're doing, do an audit of what we're doing, look at where we can tighten up administrative standards, teaching standards, consistency of assessments, and so forth. And other things. So the Board of Education, we're recruiting devotees who are teachers, who have had experience in the education world, and other devotees who have been teaching. And we're going to start regular meetings of the Board of Education to more or less set the vision, set the mission, set the vision, set the goals. And of course, a lot of our teaching is based on, or will be based on, aims. Aims created to satisfy needs. I was talking to one devotee and he was telling me how there are parents within the community who are struggling with their children. Any parents here who are not struggling with their children? Raise your hands. Nobody. Okay, good. And so, there may be a dearth or a lack of parenting skills. Right? So education programs, perhaps, from some of those parents who don't have any problems with most of the parents who don't have problems with their children, what does that mean?
They don't have children.
Yes, that's one alternative, I guess. But usually they've grown up and they've got a job and they've passed they're now embarking on their own careers. So anyway, that's the Board of Education, the idea behind the Board of Education. Along with that, we'll have an administration team. We already have a team of devotees who are enthusiastic about tightening up our administration. So we're keeping track of all of the devotees who are attending courses. We're keeping track of their attendance, of their fulfilment of the requirements for the courses. And of course, you need to keep track of all of this information so that we can then authorise them to go on to the next course, and we can issue the certificates on time, that kind of thing. So we've got an administration team, we've also got a team of teachers, and of course we've got students. Right? But I would hope that those of you who are students will soon become teachers. Right? So we need a system for training the teachers, administrating the whole show, keeping track of things. So we've got devotees who've already offered to do that, already doing that. And so with the teachers and then with the students, we're going to try and really, we've got to the point now where in many of the things that we do in ISKCON Melbourne, we need to have a little bit more organisation and a little bit more standardisation and a little consistency, so that the experience that everybody has, and this is the ideal, the experience that we all have is consistent across the board, the teachers are teaching consistently, that they're teaching the same things, that we're focusing primarily, at least in some of these, what we might call foundational courses, that we're just teaching Prabhupada's philosophy. Sometimes I get feedback from the devotees saying, we're talking about these controversial secular topics in relationship with Krishna consciousness, which might have its place in some courses, but primarily, say, the Bhakti Shastri, we want to focus on what Prabhupada teaches and not try to challenge it too much, and not bring in, say, things from this sampradaya or that sampradaya. We want to focus primarily on Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Devotion, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Prabhupada's. We want to focus on Prabhupada. How does that sound? Yeah. So, interesting times ahead for us. The community is expanding, and we want to make it bigger. There's, 99.99999% of Melbourne out there that we want to have attending the Bhakti Sastri course, right? So how many people is that? Only about 4.5 million or something, right? So we need to create an institution at least that, can scale into looking after the rest of the society that we live in. So it's one thing to study the books, but then if we've studied the books, we should understand what the para upakar is. Do you know what I mean by para upakar? The topmost work, the topmost welfare work, Prabhupada says, right? And the topmost welfare work is, yes, Prabhupada says, studying the books, but then what? Distributing the books. Preaching. Prabhupada said, what will your preaching do? And he wanted us to give the books as much as possible. Yes, we can cultivate people, and we should. We've got Bhaktivedanta and other means of cultivation. We should do that, but one of the prime vehicles for distributing Krishna consciousness was what? Or is what? According to Srila Prabhupada. Who can say? And if you can't say, you don't get your Bhakti Shastri certificate. Harinam, yes, number one. Number two, book distribution, yes. And of course Prabhupada said, book distribution is the Brihat Mridanga. Right? We can go on Harinam, and we should, but that only goes, the echo of the Kirtan party goes maybe 1 or 2 blocks. But Prabhupada's point was, if we give these books and we hand them out, they can go all over the world. Right? We used to hand out books free, and I know, I even put them on car windows. Just slip them under the windscreen wiper. And I know Vasudham. I used to sell full sets of Prabhupada's books. And Vasudham came to the temple, and he told me he got his first book was The Science of Self-Realization that was put under the windscreen of his car window, the windscreen wiper, right? And when I first met him, he came to the temple. I'd spoken to him on the phone, and I did my presentation. Well, I didn't really do my presentation. I showed him the brochure of the full set, the Eastern Classics, and he said, "Oh, I want a set of those." I thought, "Whoa, okay, got a live one here." So we need to think also about, we've studied the literature, we know what the purpose of life is, we know that the best activity that we can do is to give others Krishna consciousness. Right? This is really the topmost activity that we can perform. So it's good to be an expert in studying and understanding Prabhupada's books, but it's even better to be expert in giving them to others. What do you think? And that's a challenge. That really is a challenge. And it's a good challenge. I'll tell you why it's a good challenge. What can happen to us is, us Hare Krishnas, we study Prabhupada's books, and we're in the association of devotees who all say Jai Prabhu, and they give you a garland and sit you on a big seat and tell you what a great guy you are, right? And you sometimes can fall for that and think it's true. Well, it's not, but you can fall for it. Whereas if you go out on the street and try to distribute books, then there'll be people there who tell you, "Why did you go and get a job?" Or "Why don't you go home from where you came from?" Right? And so instead of thinking that you're a big devotee, you get trimmed down into the little devotee that you actually are. Right? So this is it's actually, even though it's a huge challenge, it's actually very, very healthy for our Krishna consciousness to try to preach to the real neophytes, right? And Lord Chaitanya recommends this. He said, you don't consider whether they're young, old, fat, skinny, wealthy, poor. You approach everybody, right? Or certainly that was Lord Nityananda's program. Lord Chaitanya actually was preaching to the class. He was preaching to the topmost echelon of Indian society, Bengal and Orissa society. Right, Maharaj Prataparuja was the king of Orissa. Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami were the ministers of the Nawab, who's like, the king of Bengal. It's like the premier and the treasurer of the state. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was Maharaj Prataparudra's guru, practically speaking, and he had 20 or 30,000 disciples at the topmost level of society. Lord Nityananda, on the other hand, was preaching to the rank and file. Well, he was preaching to the rank and file. So, how many of us here are preaching to the highest echelon of society in Victoria? Please raise your hands. No. Okay, what does that make us then? We're followers of Lord Nityananda. We're Lord Nityananda Das or Dasis. So, what a challenge. But an exciting challenge. We want to make the rest of this part of the country, this part of the world, and the Bhakti Sastri and the Bhakti Vaibhav and all of these activities are a good foundation for our preaching. But Srila Prabhupada wanted us to not only study the books, but distribute. Actually, it was funny, when Prabhupada came to Melbourne, he told the devotees, read my books. They're not just for distributing. But now we've got to turn around where the devotees read the books, but they don't necessarily go out and distribute them as much. Got a different problem now. Right? So we understand the importance of studying Prabhupada's books. We also, as a consequence, should understand the importance of distributing them. And we should think of ways, how can I help, or how can I distribute Prabhupada's books? Take a vow, one a day. When you go out, when you go to the work or whatever, give somebody a book. Right? And actually, I don't know if you've noticed, but the book distribution scores compared to last year have actually almost doubled this year, which is very good. And so I would like to encourage you all, and nothing specific, but certainly worth considering how you individually or how we collectively or in groups as teams can take advantage. We've got the learning, we're taking advantage of the human form of life, but let's all try to give others that same opportunity that was given to us. How does that sound? Yep. You'll probably hear this from me again. But repetition of a good thing is not bad. It's not bad. Okay. Is that okay? Yep. All right. And thank you for being good students. And I guess you'll be moving on to the next. Now, I'm going to sign all these. Yeah, none of these are good. We're going to give these to the ladies without signatures. That's going to take a while. Got a pen? We've got to do it, and now's as good a time as any. Does anybody have any comments or questions? Realizations. You know, one time Prabhupada, the microphone stand didn't work. Prabhupada took the Brahman thread from one of the devotees and tied it. So Prabhupada wasn't, he was pragmatic. Also, did anybody see that story about Prabhupada asking for yogurt in France? And the devotees told Prabhupada, we're not eating yogurt because it's Chatumasya. And Prabhupada said he was hot and he wanted yogurt. You should read that story. Prabhupada said, who's going to stop me from eating yogurt? The person who wrote the calendar, is Prajumna going to stop me from eating yogurt? Then Prabhupada said, Chatumasya is for the sannyasis. And then only if they want to do it. Very interesting story. Just in case you're worrying about your sannyas brata. Don't worry about it. It's better that you increase your bhakti than try to not eat sweets. Who's taken the vow to not eat sweets? Anybody? Okay. All the best. What are you going to do on Janmashtami? Huh? Interesting, isn't it? Of course, Prabhupada is a Paramahamsa, so he can make and break the rules. Okay, Aishwarya Jagannath, Prabhu, please come and get your... And Amala Manjari, there you go. Maybe. There you go. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Have the kids, all right? Okay. Rihat Banu. Rihat Banu is one of our very dedicated pujaris. I see him. Damodar Nagarajan. Not here? Dina Vatsala. Gorangi Leela Devi Dasi. How was your health? Better? Yeah, you look okay. At least you're standing up. That's good. Okay, Gopeshwari Priya Devi Dasi. Okay, thank you, Hare Krishna. Hanuman. Okay. Hanuman's going to be one of our Bhakti Sastri teachers, so turn and face the crowd. Give him your blessing and encouragement. Hanuman is a very polished Brahmana, right? I wish I could be as polished. Okay, Jagannath Nagarajam. Jagannath? Nicely shaven. Prabhupada liked a bald head. You know, there are devotees who kind of like to put on a beard. You will rarely find a picture of Srila Prabhupada with a beard. Or with hair on his head. Ooh, sorry. Unless you're particularly handsome, it's okay. Tara Balaba. Oh, that's a nice name. Okay, here's a stalwart of the Melbourne community, Janashwarya. Krishna Pasu Marti. Nachu. Naveen Goranga. Servant of the devotees. Yes. Okay, Niraj Arora. He's got the most fired up kids. Okay, I'll just be. The kids that wake up the earliest in the morning, for sure. Okay, there you go. I'll just Vinny. Thank you. Pankajanavi Devi Dasi.
Prabhu.
Not here?
You go.
This one. Priti Hanuka. Prema Tarangini. Priya Vishaka. Raji. Rani Revati. Ruchi Rani. Rukmini Keshavi. Satchidananda Balarama. Saraveshwari Madhavi. Shashi. Shamala. Sham Chandra. Sribanga Sham. Tungavija. Ditya Baru. Jamuna Diva. Okay, Jamuna Diva is also going to be joining the ranks of the Bhakti Jamuna Sundari. Okay, thank you, Sastri. Okay. Here's the top 5. Because we're not discriminating, are we? We do discriminate. We don't discriminate. Okay, so is this in particular order? 51st, okay, number 5, Shabda Brahmadas. Okay, Pandit. Panditji. Radha Sangi. Okay, number 3, Karuna Avatada. He's a very distinguished looking gentleman. Okay, number 2, Madhavananda Das. And number 1, Rajabha. See, it runs in the family, it seems. Okay. So, how many of you are now doing the Bhakti Vaibhav? Okay, good. Fantastic. Okay. Hare Krishna. Sorry, do you want to say something?
Thank you very much. I'll try and keep it very brief in the interest of time. From the bottom of my heart, I want to thank Aniruddha Prabhu and Achitra Mataji for so many things. If I go on speaking, then it will be 1 hour. So I'll be as brief. You won't be here with this. So first and foremost, that's true, Prabhu. So, but Srila Prabhupada has given us so many gifts in our life. In the form of gifts, he has given us so many temples all over the world, so many excellent devotees who we can learn from, whom I have tried to learn from, and so many leaders that in Srila Prabhupada's movement, so many leaders we have seen. We have seen not only exalted leaders, but leaders who have also groomed other leaders. And frankly, when I was in Toronto in 2003, 2004, and I was leaving Toronto, so we had the opportunity, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj and His Holiness Gopal Krishna Swami Maharaj had, both of them gave Yamanalila and me an instruction that you must start the Bhakti Vriksha movement in Toronto, because it was kind of not happening. People were just meeting, and it was more of a prasadam program rather than a systematic program. So somehow, by their mercy, with some attempts, we had some success there. because of the sincerity of the devotees. The Toronto congregation was really took to these programs like a fish takes to water after having been separated from it. So, and then when after 2.5 years there, then we had to leave Toronto. Then suddenly, my office said that Jagan, you have to come back now. We have other plans for you. So I was planning to actually settle down in India at that time, and we were actually looking for houses in Pune. Given that commuting from my house to any Bombay temple, Juhu or Chapati, it will take 1 hour 15 minutes one way, and in Bombay traffic sometimes it takes 2.5 hours one way. So, if you are lucky, yes. So I was just wondering what am I going to do, but then so we decided to see houses in Pune, and then my manager, our vice president, he called me and said that Jagan, one last project can you do? I said, where? He said, Melbourne. I said, what Melbourne? I said, from Canada, I've already traveled to Japan, US. We were living in out of a suitcase, literally, Emanuela and I, for many years. And then he said, one last project, just go for 3 months and come. And that's where, I met Rasik Chandra Prabhu also, who is sitting right behind. So he was our sales and distribution consultant, and I was part of the program management office. So I came here. And I didn't know, I never imagined that this will be the 15th year in Melbourne. The 3-month project would...
3 months of
So, but if I had to say one reason for that, for my stay here of 14-15 years, if I have to say the topmost reason, other than Radha Vallabha, it would be Achindra Mataji and Aniruddha, from the bottom of my heart. It's very difficult because I'll get emotional when I start speaking this, so I'm trying to keep it in check right now. But Aniruddha Prabhu has given me tremendous, both of them, Aniruddha Prabhu and Achindra Mataji, have given us tremendous amount of encouragement. I really can't put it in words. I have not, I can't comment on any temple or anything, but I saw someone, 2 people who are pretty hands-on on everything that's happening. Pretty hands-on temple president. And the good thing about both of them is that they are very personal. Okay? It's never impersonal with Aniruddha Prabhu and Achindra Mataji. And Aniruddha Prabhu is very direct and very open on the face. So even in his praise as well as in his chastisement. But both of them, we know that as our parents here, Achindra Mataji and Aniruddha Prabhu, they have committed their lives to serve Srila Prabhupada's movement. And I can see that not only in the efforts that Aniruddha Prabhu puts in terms of building and sustaining this congregation and this temple, but also in terms of the kind of dedication that he shows towards his own fitness, personal fitness, and the kind of discipline he has in his life, that he wants to go on and on serving Srila Prabhupada's movement. And I know that over the last many years that Aniruddha Prabhu's responsibilities have increased multifold. It's no longer Melbourne Mahaprabhu Mandir. I know the kind of traveling that you had to do. You are involved in so many levels of leadership at the ISKCON level, and yet Aniruddha Prabhu has the time to come and personally talk to each of us. I do miss those conversations at the home, so I'm going to make it a point to bring that, if I get your mercy, to invite you back home and then have those conversations. I myself have been come too busy over the last many years with especially my job commitments and a teenage son, which thankfully we are out of it now almost. I'm planning venture. So corporate life is extremely frustrating, but over the last few years, whatever challenges that I have had in my corporate life, if one thing has been able to sustain me, that is Melbourne Mahaprabhu Mandir. I don't know what good things I might have done in the past, or it is probably the causeless mercy of Vaishnavas that has brought me to Melbourne Mahaprabhu Mandir, where I believe Melbourne Mahaprabhu Mandir contributed to maximum growth in my life as a practicing devotee. Of course, the fact that I have not grown much is my own folly, but the kind of opportunities that under the leadership of Aniruddha Prabhu and Achindra Mataji that are provided in Melbourne Mahaprabhu Mandir, I pray daily to even yesterday morning, and I was telling some devotee this morning, I was praying to Sri Radha Vallabha that please don't kick me out, though I'm nowhere near where I should be. in terms of my services that so many exalted devotees here are doing. So I want to learn from all of you. I want to learn from the other senior devotees, as well as so many peers and so many people who have come new into our Bhaktivedanta program. We have seen that they have grown so deeply in their Krishna consciousness and doing so many services. So it's really a privilege, I would say, Aniruddha Prabhu, thank you very much to be part of this congregation and for letting us serve Shri Radha Vallabha, Rishi Gaunita and Jagannath Baldev Shubhadra deities here. The kind of focus that Aniruddha Prabhu and Achyuta Mataji, especially because I'm taking education as one of my interest areas. That is where I got, and I told Aniruddha Prabhu many years back, I want to contribute to ISKCON education in some way or the other. That's naturally, it comes, it's an aptitude for me. So I would like to thank Aniruddha Prabhu and Achyuta Mataji for giving us that, giving me personally that platform where I can do a service which I truly enjoy also doing. And as well as also providing so many other opportunities which I am not very good at. Like for example, once I told you, once I was in the kitchen cutting deity cutting, and I failed to keep a plate below that. And you came and told me, get out of it and do some preaching program. I remember that. And that's when we started the epping program after that. So Aniruddha Prabhu has been guiding, and it's not only me, so many people have come and told me this also, that Aniruddha Prabhu understands the aptitudes of every single person and very aptly engages them in the service where they fit in best. And that's the hallmark of the leader that you are, Aniruddha Prabhu. So thank you very much for being part of our lives. Thank you very much for tolerating me in this congregation for 14 years. And I want to take your blessings today, both Emmanuel and I, that we are able to do things that don't displease you, that always please you, and Achyuta Mataji and the deities here.
Well, thank you. Certainly that's my aspiration, and it's a great privilege for me to have your association and friendship, and yes, you are rightly situated in teaching, and you can see it by all of the devotees here who very much you've cultivated, probably more than me, and I pray that I don't stand in your way, although it may appear on occasion sometimes. Tijuri Pranam might say, hey, what are you doing? But it's generally, we learned that from devotees like Korma and Balaram and Ushapati, and that somebody's got to manage the temple, somebody's got to tell people what to do. And so, if I'm telling you what to do, please don't mind. It's certainly not personal. But in any case, Jagannath Ram has done a wonderful job in cultivating you all, and he's now encouraging and inspiring us with his Bhaktivedanta course. So again, I think what I would encourage you, let's try to increase our book distribution. It's what Prabhupada dedicated his life to doing, and we want to make an impact on the other 90, how many ever percent there are of people, or what's the Indian population in terms of percentage of Australia? What's the percentage?
5%.
5%. Right, so that means there's another 95%. Right? Now, when I say that, that doesn't mean that we stop preaching to the Indian community. We don't, obviously, but we've got to think about the others. That's why Prabhupada came here. And I think, we should all collectively think about how we're going to do that. Keep studying Prabhupada's books? Yes, we have to do that. That's our duty. But at the same time, it's also our duty to think of ways to distribute the books. And of course, that's quite a bit of a challenge, isn't it? Imagine going out on the street once a month. Let's not stretch it to once a week. Once a month, and go and distribute some books. Or go on Harinam. What works very well is a Harinam party. We see it on a Saturday night and on a Tuesday night. The Harinam party goes out, and the Harinam party is flanked by 2 or 3 or 4 book distributors who see the people who are attracted. You can tell who's attracted. They got smiles on their faces and they're just watching the Harinam party. And so, they're our customers. Give them a book. Give them a card, give them a book. So, it's not that hard. Actually, not that hard. And, I've started going out on Friday nights. So, doesn't mean that we all go out on Friday night, necessarily. 200 devotees downtown, that might be a bit much. But we can go elsewhere, it's a big place. So anyway, we need to think about, I think, how do we expand our... And, there'll be another, next year or in the next 2 years, we've got another 4 Bhakti Sastris starting, 2 pretty much straight away. There'll be another 2 starting at the beginning of next year. So, ideally, if we keep attracting people, we'll have half a dozen, we'll have a dozen. Prabhupada wanted us to increase. And with the help of Jagannath and of course with you now becoming qualified, we're going to do another TTC 1 and TTC 2 probably in the new year, so we want to see I want to see some of you there. More teachers. Because this movement is not going to stand still. It is going to increase. We just need to go out and do the, like Krishna encouraged Arjuna, you'll be the instrument. Krishna's the doer, but we're the instrument. So we need to think of ways of doing that. And our children are growing up, right? So we've got more spare time. Right? They'll be off doing their own thing soon, so we'll be able to do our thing. And what is the thing that the Hare Krishnas do? Preach, yeah, we preach. I want to have the councils, the local councils ringing me up and saying, why are you Hare Krishna people distributing books all the time in our city? That's what I want to hear. I want to hear people complaining, why are you Hare Krishnas all over the place? Why won't you leave us alone? It used to be like that in the 70s. People would say, why are you Hare Krishnas always here? Now they say, what happened to you guys? Okay. Thank you, Jagannath Ram. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, Madhavananda, what's the next thing that you have planned for us? Prashad?
Prashad. There's no prashadam? I've got to go back to the party that I was at. Too much prashadam. What's next?
Some of the students wanted to
Speak. Oh. Okay. How many would like to say something? Please raise your hands. And you're welcome to. I'm not saying that to stop you. 3. Okay. 4. Okay. You've got 2 minutes each. Otherwise, if everybody speaks for as long as I did, we'll be here till midnight.
Hare Krishna.
Come and stand up the front because all these people looking at the back. We're not impersonalists.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Aniruddha Prabhu and Jagannath Ram Prabhu. I want to thank you, Aniruddha Prabhu, for providing a facility for me to study Shastras, have prasadam, unlimited prasadam in the temple. I take this opportunity to specially thank Jagannath Ram Prabhu and Yulalini Mataji. The more I say, the more is left out of what has not been said about them. but I still take the opportunity to say something about them. Prabhu admitted to me, myself in the Bhakti Shastri course midway actually. I had asked him, can I join, because I didn't know that there was a Bhakti Shastri course and I had a desire to study Prabhupada's books in detail. So he was very merciful to admit me in the middle of the course. And what I discovered was Jagannath Prabhu is a natural teacher. So he has a unique skill set of presenting the philosophy. He brings in a lot of wit for waking up the lax hearers at times. But what's very interesting is he presents the philosophy in a very unique way. He presents serious topics very nicely and combined with wit. So it's very unique in his preaching style. What attracted me very much in the Bhakti Shastri course as well was his deep attachment, intoxicating attachment to Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. I found it very interesting because when he starts speaking about Bhagavatam, he's in ecstasy. So I can see that, and this is very intoxicating to me because when he says that, I get attracted to study Bhagavatam a lot, which is very apparent in the class that he gave today morning. And I want to also mention about the exams he gives us on Bhakti Shastri and Bhakti Vaibhav. We all enjoyed. I can see from the papers that he sets that his exams also are a meditation of what he has learned from those sections and what he expects from us as an output for those sections that we have studied. So his exams are also wonderful. Please do not think that I'm saying all this because I've got the certificate after 2 years and I'm in ecstasy of that. But I also have to say personally that the effort and endeavor that Jagannath Prabhu puts along with Yamuna and Mataji has come at the cost of his personal time and endeavor of his personal time with family and friends. So I deeply thank you very much for that, Prabhu, for taking the time to help us and to guide us. And I also have to personally share that his lectures, apart from being academic, has personally impacted my devotional practice a lot. Whatever he says, it really hits my heart straight. So it has helped me to become a better person, a better human, a better devotee. So I thank you from the deep bottom of my heart for being here, Prabhu. And I pray to Radha Vallabh that you continue to do so to awaken a lot of ignorant souls like me. And thank you, Aniruddha Prabhu, for being here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you, Aniruddha Prabhu, for your presence to present us the certificate. And thanks to Jagannath Prabhu. He is personally in my life for the last 10 years now. So it's been an amazing journey with him, especially doing the Bhakti Shastri course and now Bhakti Vaibhav. Especially what I found during the Bhakti Shastri course is the association that I get and then learn from the other devotees as well, how to actually study Srila Prabhupada's books. That actually led, only because of Bhakti Shastri, I could realize Srila Prabhupada's effort that he is putting into in writing all of these books. Just to give and then I have seen all of the students' zeal to study Srila Prabhupada's books, especially when I look at Vrajabha Prabhu and Radhasangi Mataji, because, and I know very little about their life, but I can see their zeal, the way that they study, the enthusiasm, that actually motivates everyone else. Yogeshwar Govind Prabhu, I've been with him and doing Bhakti Yoga since 2010 now. Yogeshwar Govind Prabhu and Jagannath Prabhu, both of them, they have actually played a big part in our life. Just looking at Yogeshwar Govind Prabhu, it's so inspiring to continue in Bhakti. That is something amazing. And when I look at Hanuman Prabhu actually, and again, I know nothing about Hanuman Prabhu, but his dedication that I see, that is actually contagious. When we actually study these books, be it Bhagavad Gita or Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, the examples that we have, at times, they look, I can't be like that. And it becomes very hard to actually follow in the footsteps of those exalted devotees that we see in Bhagavatam. And that's when I try and derive the inspiration or courage when I actually come into Bhakti Shastri and to temple actually, to see how actually devotees, besides having so many problems in their life, be it health issue, financial issues, kids, husband, wife, still there actually continuing on their bhakti. That is inspiring, and that's something that I try and learn. So thank you Jagannath and Prabhu for facilitating this course. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu, for giving the opportunity here, and thank Jagannath Prabhu very much. I started in my bhakti, actually it was scattered, little bit scattered a lot, and we are the students of Bhakti Vriksha of Jagannath Prabhu in Milpark. So at the beginning we are not so attracted. I'm personally not so attracted, but after his dedication and everything has turned us into the ekatva, like Krishna consciousness, more on that. And we started listening and gaining the knowledge. We have a little bit scattered knowledge, but it has been rooted through in a proper way, in a proper manner. So he encouraged us on, still we have faced a lot of problems. I really faced very big health problems. But still Jagannath Prabhu and Yamuna Lila Mataji and the association of the devotees, we have streamlined our life and got into the bhakti and trying to stand in the bhakti. So I need more association of all devotees and blessings from all the people, as well as from Jagannath Prabhu and Yamuna Lila Mataji, as well as President. Then I am able to improve my bhakti a lot and reach the goal of life. So that's where it is. I'm thinking that I'm in the right path. Please bless us to give more bhakti on this.
And you moved from Mill Park to Albert Park. Jagannath Ram's helped increase the real estate prices around.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Firstly, I would like to thank Aniruddha Prabhu and Achintya Rupa Mataji to providing us Bhakti courses in Melbourne. Initially, when I started associating with the devotees here, I was not very sure whether I'll be able to study Bhakti Shastri, but when I used to come to the temple, then by mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, we were able to get the initial self-realization course from him, and then he directed us to Jagannath Prabhu. And Bhakti Shastri course has been an eye-opener for me, and Jagannath Prabhu, during his classes, I could see that his love for Srila Prabhupada, when he used to tell us the 12 aims of Bhakti Shastri, and that has helped me so much to look at life through Shastras. And personally, it has helped me with my family, with my children. When I learn the KMVs, my children also learn along. And it has been a very, very intense journey for me to learn Bhakti Shastri throughout the years. And Jagannath Prabhu and Yamuna Mataji has been a very integral part of our life. And we hope to do something in return as a gratitude towards what you have done for us, Prabhu. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you very much, Aniruddha Prabhu and Achintya Rupa Mataji, for nicely providing us with the Bhakti Shastri course and the systematic studies for different Bhakti courses. And thank you, Jagannath Prabhu and Yamuna Lila Mataji, for being a part in our life. because I remember like Prabhuji's connection not only through Bhakti Shastri, but we were connected with Prabhuji like from 2007, Bhakti Riksha. And my kids were also so much interested that they used to come to every classes. And I love Prabhuji's dedication in giving classes and his in-depth love for Srila Prabhupada and how he delivers classes with like he's very sincere. And that sincerity really rubs on the students as well. And he gives much emphasis on the sincerity in reading the Srila Prabhupada's book and preaching the same through others. And I'm so much attracted toward Prabhuji's class because of his examples he gave, and also he's having a very good sense of humor. Like I remember for the many years before, like Prabhuji used to give nice examples which still remains fresh in my mind. Like in Bhagavad Gita, I remember like Prabhuji used to talk about big philosophical concepts like Vishuddhatma, Vijitatma and Jitendriya. But I was thinking that how could I understand these things, but Prabhuji gives very nice examples which like illuminating examples still which I remember in my mind. 3-4 years back we did Bhakti Shastri, but it is still fresh in my mind because Prabhuji nicely explained. I'll not take much time, but the example, I liked it so much, so I wanted to say that example, how still it is remaining in my mind fresh. Because like he told about Vishuddhatma, he told that means there is an intelligence or knowledge by which we can understand something is good or bad. That is Vishuddhatma. And Vijitatma, he told that we have self-control, whether to indulge in something or not to indulge in something. And Jitendriya is a self-realized person. For that he gave a nice example of ice cream and broccoli soup, because Prabhuji doesn't like broccoli soup. So that example is still in my mind. Prabhuji told that since we know, we have the knowledge that ice cream is not, if you are taking too much of ice cream, it's not good for our health. That is the knowledge, that is Vishuddhatma. And then he was telling, Vijitatma is, you can take that ice cream or you don't take that ice cream. You have that self-control. So for that he gave that. And for Jitendriya, he told that and for that Jitendriya, Prabhuji told that broccoli soup I don't like, but like he used Mataji's name, Yamuna Leela always says that take broccoli soup, it's good for you, it's good for your health. But I also should become Jitendriya, but Jitendriya means aloof. I don't like this or I like, you don't have that distinction whether you like this or like that. So he gave nice example. I still remember about that broccoli soup and ice cream. I'll not forget this ever in my life. And another good thing about Prabhuji's classes are it's really like humorous. Like even the time goes like the time clock sticks till like 9 o'clock. Then also Prabhuji keeps us like, he gives like lots of sense of humor. He has got a lot of sense of humor which keeps us very awake in class all throughout. And another important thing is Prabhuji is very nice in reciting shlokas. You'll not believe, even my small kids, because when we came to Melbourne here 2007, straight away Lord Krishna's mercy, I was under his care in their Bhakti Riksha. And my daughter was, actually I was conceived, and then we attended the Bhakti Riksha program. And my kids also like to learn shlokas because of Prabhuji, because he recites shlokas, and sometimes Prabhuji was telling something in class, something like that I'll ask, and then my children will recite. I was so amazed, like it happened many times. Like Prabhuji recites shlokas, by that only I got interest to recite shlokas and memorize shlokas. So many credits I can keep on saying, like Prabhuji is really, is a part of our life. And both Yamuna Leela Mataji and Jagannath Prabhu, they are very personal as well. They spend personal time. And Prabhuji is very sincere, he has never cancelled any classes at all. Like if it's some temple festival or something like that is there, then only Prabhuji cancels. He doesn't even bother about his health. Even if he has migraine, he tried as much as possible to keep the classes. He never cancels classes, which inspires us like it's very inspiring. Like how can Prabhuji, like he is stretching like anything, and he wanted to serve Srila Prabhupada, and always Prabhuji's lectures, he will show that he has so much love for Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. as Karunavatar Prabhu told, not like he is breathing Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, and because of him having that much love to Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, we as students are also feeling that we should also have that much love what Prabhuji is having. So last but not least, that I have to say that Prabhuji is really instrumental in our whole life, not only for me, but my whole family is very fortunate to be in association of Prabhuji and the able guidance of Jagannath Prabhu and Yamunalila Mataji. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Okay, it's time for me to go, I'm afraid. It's 8:30. I've got to go and get a chicharupa. Where's the prasadam? It's here? In the kitchen. Okay. You look like you urgently want to do something. You want to say something, Prabhupada?
No problem. I'm just settling down.
Okay, alright, is that okay? Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Nice appreciations. It's always good to be with the devotees and learn how to appreciate others, right? Through the realizations and the realizations of the devotees. Okay. So Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhaktivedanta ki jai, Nittai Gaur. Yeah, the Yogeshwar Govinda kind of snuck in, didn't he? I was just thinking when you were, who was saying, somebody was appreciating, and I was thinking, that's why he's got all the grey hair now.
No, he's the reason why I'm afraid.
He's not the only reason.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, also Yogeshwar Govinda has been a stalwart preacher in Melbourne for many, many years. And I appreciate his service as well. And all of you who are... We've had a long friendship going back many years. And also all of you who are doing Bhakti Vriksha preaching and training others. You know, it really is an important service. Keep it up. Okay, Hare Krishna.